Hello my dear students, welcome to computer science class. In this video class, let us start with a new topic, that is characteristics of a good program. So the first characteristics of a good program is program should be easy and efficient. That means what? The program, whatever we write it, should always generate the correct results, and the execution time should be very faster, and it should take very less amount of memory space at the time of execution. Then such a characteristics we can refer it as the program should be easy and efficient. Let us see the next characteristic. The program should be interactive and user friendly. This means what? The user should have an easy interactive screen. That means at the time of giving the input, the user should have a very easy interactive screen and should be able to get any information when they are going through the program and during the execution. Whatever the code we have written, we should fetch information out of it even at the time when we are going through the program or during the execution time, as well as the screen should be very interactive. That is what interactive and user friendly is. Next characteristic, it should be a proper documentation in code. See, as we know that the documentation and maintenance is very important at the time of developing a program. So therefore, the documentation would help the programmers to identify the different parts or the different modules, and it will give you the clarity in the meaning of the program, what each statement is about. Like for the comment or the documentation section would help the programmer to easily understand what the statement is about or what the program is about. That is why the proper documentation in code is must and should. The fourth one characteristic, it should be reliable. That means what? The good program is the one that would cope up even when we are giving the unexpected input when it has been given, or when we doesn't provide any input also. The program what you have written should cope up in an unexpected situations. That is what it should be reliable. Next, last, the characteristics is portable. That means what the program you're writing, it should have capability to run on any of the platform, irrespective of any of the operating system. It should be capable of running the program. These are the 5 different characteristics of a good program. Let us have a quick glance on here. That is easy and efficient, interactive and user friendly, proper documentation in code, reliable and portable. Next thing is the guidelines for writing a good program. What you should consider at the time of writing the program. The first thing is we should make use of proper names for identifiers. Identifiers are nothing but the process of giving the names to the variables, arrays, okay, functions. Okay, we have to use the proper variable names, okay, when we are developing any program or the code. Then usage of clear expressions. That means whatever the mathematical expressions you're writing or arithmetic expressions, that is assignment expression, shorthand notations, whatever you're going to write the expression, it should give a clear picture of what exactly the program has to perform. Then use of the comments. That is what the documentation. So it would help the programmer easily to understand what the program is about or what each line of code is about. Then the statements in separate lines and use of proper braces. That means each statement should be written in each separate lines. We cannot mix and mingle the 2 different statements in a single statement. That would not be a proper format of writing the code. So every time each statement you write it, and each statement it should be terminated with semicolon, and do write it in a separate lines, and we have to use the braces whenever it is required, whenever it comes to the conditional statements or looping statements, okay, or wherever it is required the braces appropriately, we need to use the braces. So these are certain guidelines for writing the good program. Let us move on to the programming constructs. So what is this programming construct? See, a program may not be limited to the sequence of instructions. Every time it is not that the program what you write should be executed in a sequence of instructions only during the processing time. Sometimes it may require the bifurcation, or sometimes it may require the repetition of certain set of instructions. Okay, or sometimes it may require to make certain decisions. Based upon the decisions, the statements may be executed or may not be executed. So in such situations, we need to come across the programming construct. So a programming construct is a statement in a program. So basically we have three different programming construct. The first one is sequential, selection, and the iteration. These are the three different types of programming construct. What exactly this sequential is? Sequential is nothing but it is the execution of the statements of program one after the another from the beginning to the end. Let us see this. Look at this one. So this is a kind of an example for the sequential construct, wherein it consists of some series of set of statements here. So how the execution takes place one after the another, right from the beginning to the end. So in such a way we are executing, the statements are being executing one after the another. So actually this kind sequential construct actually shows the flow of programming logic, and there would be no any complexity at all. And when you observe this one, we have only one single entry point and one exit point. So this sequential construct cannot have any looping statements or iteration, repetition statements here, because the statements like S1, okay, all this S1, S2, S3, S4, all these statements should be executed one after the another. So sequential construct is one of the most simplest form of all the structures which has been used in the program. Now what exactly these sequential statements include? So these statements could be any input statement, they could be an assignment statements, or they could be any output statement. What is the use of this input statement? Input statement is nothing but that is used to input the values into the variables from the input device. Okay, like say int a comma b. Okay, we can refer them a and b to be as an input variables. Okay, when we write it in algorithm, input a comma b comma c. So such kinds of an input statements it may involve. Next, coming to the assignment statement. What is this assignment statement? It is used to store a value in a variable with an assignment operator. Like for an example, int a is equal to 5. That means what, you are moving the value of 5 in a variable known as a. And what is this output statement? Output statements are those which will help you to display the values of the variables on the standard output device like monitor and all. Say for an example, we are saying print 5 is an prime number, or print a b c. So such statements could be an output statement. So therefore the sequential construct, it is a combination of all the input statements, assignment, as well as an output statements, where the sequential constructs have the statements which has to be executed one after the another, wherein it is having only one single entry point and one single exit point. Such a statements we can call it as a sequential statements. I hope you are able to understand. Moving on to the next one is the selection statement. So we already have come across the selection statements. Okay, among the selection statements we have again different kinds of statements like if statement, simple if statement, if else statement, and all. Now let us see what exactly the selection construct is. Selection statements are those statements which will allow the user to decide the execution of certain statements based upon a condition. Like depending upon the selection, depending upon the decision making, it will allow the programmer to execute a set of statements. It may or it may not allow. So such a statements we refer it as actually the selection statements or the selection construct. So now let us see what are the different kinds of selection statements. So selection statement is also being referred to as a conditional construct. Why? Because it is allowing you to select and execute the statements based upon certain condition. Therefore we can also refer it as a conditional construct. Some of the examples of selection statements are simple if else statement, if else if statement, nested if statement, and multiple selection statements. Okay, now let us in detail see each one of the selection statement. Let us start with the first one, the simple if statement. Already these constructs we have completed in introduction to C++, control statements we have done this, but still it will be a kind of revision to you all. Let us see in detail what exactly the simple if statement is. The simple if statement is called as actually one-way branching statement. So what is the use of the simple if statement? It will help the programmer to decide whether a particular set of statements should be executed or not depending upon the condition. So this simple if statement, when you observe at the general syntax, see here, if followed by the test condition. If this test condition is true, it will allow to execute the statement once. If the test condition is false, the control will skip the statement 1 and it will jump to the next statement, that is statement 2. If the condition is false, the statement 1 will never be executed. So this statement 1 will act as a true part of this simple if statement. If it is true, if the condition is true, then the statement 1 will be executed. If the condition is not true, that means if the condition is false, the control will directly jump to the statement 2. So this is what a simple if statement. Therefore, we call it as one-way branching statement, because based upon this given condition, it is allowing you to execute this particular statement or not. If it is true, execute, else you are skipping that statement and control moves to the next statement. Let us look at the flowchart here. Look at this, how we are representing the if condition in the flowchart. We should always refer it as is followed by condition followed by question mark. Is condition, if it is true, then we are executing the statement 1. Is if condition is false, then we are skipping this one and directly we are jumping to the next statement. This is how actually the simple if statement works. Let us look at the example here. So look at this. If the given amount, if it is greater than 10,000, if the given amount is greater than 10,000, then we are calculating the discount, that is amount into 10%. That means 10% discount I am giving, that is amount into, that is amount is what the whatever we have entered. Suppose if I have entered as 15,000, if I have entered. Now let us see this, how it works. 15,000 is greater than 10,000. Yes, your condition, if it is true, then 15,000 into 10 divided by 100. What that amount I'm getting, that would be my discount amount. And therefore, again I'm calculating amount minus discount. That means what? How much? 15,000 minus the discounted amount, and that total amount will be stored in a variable known as net amount. What if I have given the amount to be as 8,000? Whether 8,000 is greater than or equal to 10,000, the condition is false. If this condition is false, then this true statement will never execute. In fact, the control jumps to this statement. Now I have initially discount is equal to 0. I have initialized it. Therefore, amount is what? 8,000 minus 0. So net amount will be my 8,000. This is how simple if statement will work. There is another example to find out the largest of two numbers. Initially, I am assuming the a value to be as large, and then I am comparing if b is greater than large. If so, move the value of b to the large. Let us assume the a value to be as 10 and b value to be as 5. Initially, I am assuming a value to be the large, means large consists of 10, b value is 5. 5 is greater than large. The condition is false. Because the condition is false here, so this statement will never execute. In fact, we are printing the largest value as 10. So these are the examples. So in the examination, they may ask you, explain the simple if statement with an programming example. If they give you, you need to write what is the simple if statement, what is its purpose, write the general syntax, draw the flowchart of the simple if statement, and give one programming example. So this is a 5 marks question. Moving on to the next one, selection statement, that is if else statement. Look at this if else statement. So this if else statement is actually called as two-way branching decision statement. Why it is called as two-way branching decision statement or two-way branching selection statement? Because Here, based upon the condition, it will allow the programmer to decide one set of statements should be executed or the another set of statements to be executed. Okay, look at the general syntax so that you can clearly understand here. See, if this test condition, if it is satisfying, then you are executing the statement 1. If this test condition, if it is fails, then you are executing the statement 2. So we have two phases here. It is allowing the programmer to decide to execute the particular set of statements, the first set of statement to be executed or the second set of the statements to be executed based upon the given condition. Therefore, it is called as two-way branching selection statement. Okay, look at the flow chart here. If is condition, is condition, if it is true, then the statement 1 is executed. Is condition, if it is false, then the statement 2 is being executed. Okay, any of them, let them execute, either of them should be executed, but it will never execute the both, isn't it? So if the true condition, if it is executed, then the control, after executing the statement 1, the control goes to the next statement. It will never execute the statement 2 because since it is a false statement. Even if the initially the condition is false here, then the true part of the statement will never execute. In fact, only the false part of the statement will execute and the control goes to the next statement. So this is all about the if-else statement. Let us have a glance on the example here. See here, if amount is greater than or is equal to 5,000, I am going to provide the 10% of discount. Else I am going to provide basically the 5% of discount. If the amount, if I give only 1,000 is greater than 5,000, here the condition is false. It's not 1,000 is not greater than or equal to. If it is false, then the false part of the statement, the false part of the statement is being represented by an else statement. Okay, so if the condition, if it is false, then the else part of the statement would be executed. Similarly, look at this one. If n mod 2, if I give the value as 8 mod 2, is it resulting in 0? Yes. If it is so, then you're printing that it's a even number. What if I give the number as 7 mod 2, is it resulting in 0? False. If it is false, the true part of the statement will never get executed. In fact, the control comes to the else part of the statement. So one question, what is the purpose of else statement in the simple if in the if else statement? So the else statement will allow the allow to execute the false part of the statement. Okay, this is how you have to write. So this is all about the if else statement. Let us move on to the next selection statement, that is if else if statement. Now before we come to the if else if statement, let us have a glance on what is actually the nested if statement. Nested if statement is nothing but an if statement within another if statement. We actually refer it as an nested if statement. So in the nested if statement, we have two formats, that is if else if statement as well as then one more statement as else if statement we are having. So let us see the first format of the nested if statement, that is if else if statement. So this if else if statement, it is also called as an else if ladder. Okay, we call it as an else if ladder statement, or we can even refer it as a multiple way branch selection statement. So why we refer it as a multiple way branch selection statement? Because it would help the programmer to decide a set of statements which has to be executed based upon certain conditions. See, for an example, look at here the general syntax. See, if this particular condition, if it is true, then the statement 1 is executed. Else, the next condition will be tested. Else if, test for the second condition. If it is true, the statement 2 will be executed. Else if, third condition will be tested. If it is true, then the statement third will be executed. Else, by default, the default statement will be executed. That means what? It is providing the programmer the multiple different conditions it is providing. Depending upon the condition, you are going to execute the accordingly the given statement. If the condition third is being satisfied, then the statement third will be executed. So it is allowing you to execute the particular set of statement given based upon the condition, where it is providing you the multiple multiple selection statement it is providing. Among that, you need to choose any one statement to be executed based upon the given condition. That is why it is being referred to as multiple way branch selection statement. So similarly, see here, is condition 1, if it is true, then only the statement 1 will be executed. Once the statement 1 is executed, the controls joins to the next statement below here. Suppose if the condition 1, if it is not true, that means if the condition 1, if it is false, then we are going to test for the second condition. If the second condition is, if it is true, only then the statement 2 will be executed, and once the statement 2 is executed, the control will join to the next statement. Okay, so depending upon whichever the condition satisfies, only pertaining to that the statement associated with that particular condition will be executed. It will never execute the rest of the other statements. Suppose if none of the match is found, that means if none of the conditions satisfies, okay, then by default the default statement will be executed. Okay, see, even if the third condition, if it is doesn't satisfy, then definitely the true part means statement 1 is executed, false part means definitely by default the default statement will be executed, and finally it joins to the next statement. Now let us see the example so that you can clearly understand. Now look at here. See, if the marks given, if it is greater than 85, let us assume the marks to be as 32. When I assume the marks to be as 32, see, if 32 is greater than 85, the condition is false. If this condition is false, then the statement which has been associated with this condition would be this. So this will never execute. In fact, the control jumps to the else part. Again, if 32 is greater than 60, here also condition doesn't satisfy. If this condition doesn't satisfy, then definitely the statement associated with this condition will not get executed. In fact, the control goes to the else part. Whether 32 is greater than or equal to 50, again the condition is false. Here also the condition doesn't satisfy, so this statement will be skipped. In fact, the control goes to the else part. Now look at here, whether 32 is greater than or equal to 35, again the condition fails here. Once the condition fails here, again the true part of this particular statement is this one, right? Promoted will not be executed. In fact, the statement what is there in the else part, that is the default statement, will be executed, and it will print as detained in the sense that is failed. I hope you are able to understand. What if the marks, if it is scored as 66, if it is scored, so whether 66 is greater than or equal to 85, the condition is false, so the control jumps to the else part here. Whether the 66 is greater than 60, yes, your condition satisfies, so it will print the subsequent statement, that is first class will be printed. Once it is printed, the control comes out of this particular if else if statement. The control will directly jump to the next statement what it has been present here. It will never execute the rest of the statements at all. In fact, the control jumps out of the if else if statement and moves to the next statement. I hope you are able to understand. Moving on to the next statement, that is the nested if statement format 2. Here it is, this structure contains an if else statement within another if else statement. So if you carefully observe, this one is, it contains an if else statement. It contains an if else statement within another if else statement. See, this is an if else statement. This is if condition. If it is true, then these set of all the statements are associated with this if condition. Then the false part of this condition is, here I have written the else. So if you carefully observe, this structure is a one wherein an if else statement within another if else statement. So there is a presence of an if else statement within another if else statement. Such a structure we refer it as a nested if statement. This is a format 2 of the nested if statement. I hope you are able to understand the explanation here. Let us look at this one. See, if the condition 1, if it is true, as per the true part of this condition is this statement. So if it is true, then is condition 2 I'm checking. Even if this condition is also, if it is true, then associated, what is the true part of this particular condition is this only one statement 1. So only statement 1 will be executed. Once if it is executed, the control will directly move on to the next statement here. What if the condition, if it is false? Second condition, if it is false, then the false part of the statement, that was statement 2, will be executed and controls goes to the finally the next statement. What if initially the condition 1 doesn't satisfies? Then it goes to the false part. See, if this condition is false, directly the controls jumps to the else part. So if condition 3 will be checked. Based upon this, if it is true, then the statement 3 will be executed. If it is false, then the statement 4 will be executed. Remember, any one statement condition it will satisfy, and associated with that particular condition, that particular statement only will be executed. So this is said to be as a nested if statement. I hope children you are able to understand. Now let us look at the example. So it's a very simple example which we have already discussed as a programming example here. Let us look at this one. So if A is greater than B, if this condition satisfies, then the true part of this statement will be the very next statement. That is, again we are testing if A is greater than C. If the condition is true here also, then print A will be executed. Else we are printing the C value. Now let us assume the A value to be as 50 and B value to be as 55, let us assume, and C value to be 60. I'll repeat, A value to be 50, B to be as 55 and C to be as 60. So let us consider here A value to be as 50. Whether 50 is greater than 55, initially only the condition is false. If this condition is false at initially, directly we are jumping to the else part. When we are jumping to the else part, what did I take? The B value, that is 55. Whether 55 is greater than C. Here the condition doesn't satisfy. If the condition doesn't satisfy, we are printing the else part. So print C. What does the C consist of? 60. So 60 will be printed. Now let us assume A value to be as 55, B value to be as 50. Let us assume C value is the same as 60. A value I am assuming to be 55 and B as 50. So 55 is greater than 50. Yes, your condition is true. If it is true, then again next condition I am checking. Whether 55 is greater than 60. Again the condition becomes false here. If this condition becomes false, definitely what is the false part? Where the false part of this particular if condition? The false part of this particular condition is this else part. So again we are printing what? C. Again C consists of 60. So it's working well and fine. Now let us assume A value to be as 60, B value to be as 55 and C value to be as 60. C value to be as 50, let us assume. So A value, as I said, 60. 60 is greater than 55. Yes, the condition is true. Again, whether 60 is greater than 50, again the condition is true. If both these conditions are true, definitely the true part of that statement will be executed. That is print A. That means print 60. Whichever the variable you take it, assume the value to be the greatest. According to this particular, the nested if statement, the logic works. I hope children you are able to understand. So today we have completed the topic, the characteristics of a good program and how the guidelines we need to write the good program, and then we have started with the programming construct. Under that we have studied the sequential statement and selection statement, that is the simple if, if else, else if else, else if statement, and the nested if statement. So in our next class we shall study the multiple selection branching statement, that is multiple selection statement. Okay, and then we shall see with the iteration statement. Thank you students. Be safe.